Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday morning to you. Welcome back to Morning Musings. My name is Don K. Preston. I am the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma. Hope you had an absolutely fantastic weekend. I got to go to an automotive swap meet in Decatur, Texas. Bought some really good stuff for my cars. And maybe I can, take the next step in their restoration and what have you. And just had a great time, except, Thursday and Friday it rained and it poured and it sloshed. Oh my goodness. Saturday turned off beautiful. Had a wonderful time. Anyway, do not forget July 11th through the 13th, Ardmore, Oklahoma, Preterist Pilgrim Weekend 2019. Our theme is how we know we're not living in the last days. All right. Well, we're looking at the question of the disciples in Matthew chapter 24 and verse 3. Jesus had just predicted the destruction of Jerusalem and the temple. The disciples responded by asking, "Tell us, when shall these things be?" Pardon me. "What shall be the sign of your parousia and the end of the age?" It is generally assumed, about 99% of the commentators, assume that the disciples were asking about the end of the current Christian age. Now, as I pointed out to you in the previous video, last week, we have to ask the question, since the disciples were asking about the end of the age in direct response to Jesus' prediction of the destruction of the temple, did that temple represent the Christian age? Look, folks, if that temple did not represent the end of the Christian age, then why in the world and how in the world would the disciples have thought about the end of the Christian age when Jesus predicted its destruction? That temple had nothing to do with the Christian age. It is therefore a completely anachronistic argument to say, yes, Jesus predicted the fall of Jerusalem, the destruction of the temple. And when he did, the disciples immediately thought about the end of the Christian age. Do you see how illogical that is? Do you see how disjointed that is? So I ask you once again to consider the question, what age did that temple represent? That temple represented Torah. It was there in the temple that tablets, scrolls, the very best scrolls of the law of Moses. Do you know? I'm not trying to be facetious, but this is an incredibly important point. There was not a single copy of the book of Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John in that temple. Not a single copy of the book of Revelation or Romans or Corinthians. The only law and copies of the law that were in that temple, and of which that temple was representative, was the Old Covenant age, the age of Moses and the law. Now, let me remind you, this is a bit repetitious, but this is so important. The Jews of Jesus' day, it's carried out in the New Testament. They only believed in two ages. They believed in what they called this age and the age to come. They believed that this age, what they called this age, was the age of Moses and the law. They believed that the age to come was the age of Messiah and the new covenant. They believed that this age, the age of Moses and the law, was supposed to end. They believed the age of Messiah and the new covenant would never end. So we have to ask the question, oh, by the way, Jesus only spoke of two ages. Jesus spoke of this age in Mark 10, Matthew chapter 12, Luke chapter 20, and the age to come that would come after the age he was living in. The children of this age, Luke chapter 20, marrying, given in marriage, They observed the Levirate marriage law of Deuteronomy chapter 25. Those who are counted worthy to attain that age neither marry or are given in marriage. Now, folks, that's not a contrast between simple marriage being practiced or not practiced. The subject under consideration was the Levirate marriage law of Deuteronomy 25. In what age did they practice the Levirate marriage? The law of Moses, the age of Moses and the law. What was the age that followed the law, the age of the law of Moses? The age of Christ and the new covenant. You know, it's amazing. When we can get down this simple, really simple, two-age schema, and if we can realize the Bible does not invent a third this age or a second this age. It does not invent a third age to come. Here's something amazing. Paul said in Ephesians chapter 1, 20 and 21, that God, in raising up Christ from the dead, seated him above all things that are in heaven and in earth, gave him a name which is above every name, both in heaven and earth, and in this age, catch this now, catch the power of this, and in the age to come. That's right. Christ is exalted with a name above every name that was in Paul's this age, and a name above every name in the age to come. Now look, I don't have time to develop how that contrasts and contradicts the traditional views of what happens at the coming of the Lord, but it's incredible. But it shows that Paul was consistent with Jesus in his doctrine of two ages. Two ages. The age of Moses and the law, and the age of Messiah and the new covenant. Now tomorrow I'm going to share with you how the age of Messiah, both from the old covenant prophecies and the new, would never end. Do you catch the power of that? Let me present it like this. If it is the case, hypothetical syllogism, if it is the case, if it is true that the age of Christ and the new covenant would never end, and if it is true that we are currently living in the age of Christ and the new covenant, then it must be true that the current age of Christ and the new covenant will never end. Folks, you know what that means? That means the disciples in Matthew chapter 24 and verse 3 simply could not have been asking about the end of the current Christian age. You know what that means? It means we're not living in the last days. Listen, don't forget, we've only got a few days left for the month of February. And if you want me to extend this into March, I might do it. I know I only introduced this two-book special, and the response has been very good. We really appreciate that. So I'll extend this offer through March, okay? For those of you who have said, well, I don't have the money now, I want to do it later. Okay, two-book special. Into all the world, then comes the end. The end of what? Well, we're told the end of this age. We'll see. The last days identified. If you ordered these books separately and paid separate shipping, it would be almost $35. Two-book special, February and March 2019. I cannot do this for overseas orders. I'm sorry. But two-book special, $25 post-paid. Okay? There's a banner up on my website, donkpreston.com, bibleprophecy.com. Just click on the banner and order the books. And be sure to let me know that you saw the offer on YouTube or Facebook. Okay, tomorrow, as promised, we'll be looking at the fact that both the Old Covenant and the New said that the age of Messiah, the age of the New Covenant, would never pass away. You don't want to miss it. I'll see you on the flip side.